Good morning and welcome to another Writer's Morning Commute. So last week I talked about tone and Hearthstone, and kind of on a similar note, this week I wanted to talk about another show, a show that I've finished recently, at least up to where it's at currently. That show is Netflix's adaptation of The Seven Deadly Sins. This is an anime. This came out about a year ago, season 1, and then season 2 came out, and that's what I just finished watching. Season 2 was really more just kind of some filler episodes, it felt like, between season 1 and season 2. They wrapped up a little bit of plot, but I was really hoping for a little bit more than what it turned out to be. Like, the first 2 episodes were pretty good, but the second 2 episodes were just straight up filler. Overall, I really liked season 1. It starts out as a very seemingly stereotypical fantasy story that kind of put me off just by how bland and generic it was at start. It just felt exactly like what you would imagine a fantasy anime would look like. But as the storyline went along, there were actually some really well done plot twists that some of them I saw coming, some of them I didn't see coming at all, some of them I saw coming, a little bit, but they were good enough and they changed the story and recontextualized things such that I really enjoyed the world and most of the characters and most of their characterization and the plot. Like, there was lots of good to be said about it. However, I don't really recommend the series to most people just because of how over the top the fan service and perviness of the main character. There's lots of TNA in the series. I mean, it just takes every chance it can to give you, some level of fan service or another. And I'm relatively good at ignoring that and not letting that affect my opinion of a show. I would rather it not be there, but if it is there, I can get over it. My wife is not that way. She refuses to watch Gurren Lagann, which is one of the best anime of all time, in my opinion, because she can't stand just one character, much less the number of characters and situations that show up in Seven Deadly Sins. And that situation kind of reminds me of a topic that Brandon Sanderson has talked about before. I don't remember if it was on Writing Excuses or somewhere else. But he talked about how lots of people complain about his books making up cuss words, and people feel like that's silly. But he chooses to do so because a lot of his friends and family, who are very hardcore Mormons, I guess. I don't know what the best adjective to use there is, but they would refuse to read his books if he used actual real-world cursing. And he's been told that before, or he's seen it happen to other people. Either way. So he chose to use different terminology that I usually feel is rooted in the worlds that he's building. It's rooted pretty well in his world building, but he uses that, and that alienates some of his readers. But if he didn't use that, it would alienate different readers. So either way, he's kind of in a lose-lose situation there. And Seven Deadly Sins isn't quite the same situation. I don't think there's a lot of people who are going to not watch a show just because there isn't fan service. You might lose some people who are super into that and want to watch it for that mainly. But I feel like most of them would probably watch it if it was a good show anyways. So I don't think including it really gets you a larger audience. Including it probably just gets you a smaller audience, period. But it is something you need to keep in mind. So, the moral of the story here, what I think that writers like us can get out of this is that you should inspect the elements of your story that might cause complaints. If you see something that you know is going to make someone uncomfortable, or you know is a hot topic that people like to point out and possibly witch hunt over, I'm not suggesting anybody self-censor their work. I'm not saying any topic is necessarily off limits. What I am saying is that you should look at what you're including in your stories and ask yourself if there's a better way you can present it, or if there's a way you can present it that just doesn't alienate that audience who might be alienated, or if it's really even serving your story, and if your story wouldn't be better off without it at all. Because there's no point in including something that is just going to upset people, that doesn't help your story. So thank you all very much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.